Hello, my beautiful souls. Hello, my beautiful souls. You are listening to the Messy Human Tarot, and I'm your host, Ruby. Hey, I don't know if you can know, but I'm tired. I'm bushwhacked, but I'm trying to keep to the schedule of 3 times a week. I really am. And so sometimes these sessions have a lot more channeling going on. Sometimes it's more of like, hey, this is a really cool topic. I really like talking about it. As you can tell, I tend to be on the go a lot. It is what it is. I literally, I'm not kidding you, I saw the best sign ever, because in the previous episode 999 came up and then he popped up again, and I was like, oh, I love this topic so much. In the previous episode we were talking about Loki and all this fun stuff about Loki, like the tower, but during it, like, this random thing came through about connecting to our higher purpose and that everything would be all right. We are gonna be all right. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Does that sound very demoralizing? Probably because it is. I get a lot of signs from the universe. Like, I do a lot. Like, the universe is constantly talking to me. Like, they were talking about how they gave out basically like a reality check. It's like, you really need to ask help. You should be asking for help more frequently. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And then, like, literally, I'm not kidding you. Like, how do I phrase this? Okay, so, alright, so, by the way, before we get going, I am not on my doctor, financial, legal advisor. All choices are your own. I'm entertainment value only, but with that said, I really do believe in a lot of shit that I talk about. Everything's timeless, general, all that fun stuff. And, like, when I mean, like, I believe in this stuff, I really do. And I get it. Like, I really do. It's really hard. We are born on this planet. We have to deal with the divine theater. We have to trust, have faith in the universe, and figure our shit out. So it is a little exhausting, right? Especially part of that divine theater. Like, it pops up. I'll be watching TV and I'm like, well, that's interesting. Like, I'm not kidding you. The divine theater is a very flexible term. Holy, are you kidding me? Loki? Okay, well, Loki. There's a sign that says Loker Street. So the fact that I was like, that's really close. That counts. That counts as a sign if I ever said so. I'm sorry. I'm suddenly emotional. Like, I'm emotional right now. And well, that's life for you, right? It's just, oh my God. Give me a moment. I have to go get gas. When I say I'm on the go a lot, it's crazy how much I'm on the go. But I'm like, I really want this podcast to exist. I'm so tired of saying, I'm gonna do it, and then I'm like, it's not perfect enough. So therefore I can never have a podcast. So this is why it's the way it is because I just got tired of waiting for perfection, because perfection does not exist. It does not. Alright, I'm back. Oh my God, I was literally almost out of gas. And oh my God. It's so funny because I had this like message from, like, when I say like I get messages a lot, I get them a lot. And I got this one, like, so I've been practicing my automatic writing. And one of the messages had to do about there's something about running out of gas and how. So I'm in the helping field. I work with families, children, in terms of behavioral health, and the universe is like saying, we understand that you love helping other people. That's something you enjoy doing. However, you're running into a big problem right now. You're running out of gas, and there's not a local gas station for you to go to. And they're encouraging me to think about alternative options for the long run. And I'm not kidding you, I was so low on gas, the light turned on, and I was like, oh crap, where's the gas station when you need one? And there was a gas station right there. So, like, and I'm not kidding you, before I left, I saw the number 60, and the gas station, the number I was at was 6. So when I get like a lot of signs, I get a lot. And this is the thing about being an augur witch and being psychic in general, is that very often we think it's so easy to just believe and have faith with the universe. And the thing that I always admired about Christians is how easy it is for them to have faith. And I'm like, where is the pagan gospel? Where is the pagans talking about faith? Because I really could use that right about now. Christo-pagan. And I really wish I had a little bit more faith. Because just because you see and you know and you understand that the universe is looking out for you doesn't always necessarily mean you actually believe it. And this is so important when you are manifesting, is belief. But when you become kind of battered and bruised by your life experiences, where people have told you that's not real, ghosts aren't real, that shit gets into your head, and I don't know, or just that some days it's a lot easier, and the days I am really good at following divine guidance, those are the days I manifest the best. I remember one time I was really in a bad low point, and I followed their messages, and boom, something good happened. And right now what they're telling me is you need to rest, you need to wait, everything's gonna be okay, everything is going to be okay. You can't just hyper fixate on what's going on wrong in your life. And I'm I'm really having a hard time with that, which is kind of why I do a lot right now, why I do the episodes. I'm not gonna lie, so I don't fixate on that stuff, so I can stay in a higher realm of thinking and feeling and being and existing. And I actually noticed that I tend to be of a higher frequency when I do these podcasts. And but the problem with that is it kind of doesn't count as resting. It really isn't resting. And I can't believe it, but I saw the word lantern. It just popped in my brain. And I'm looking around did I see a lantern? Did I see the word lantern? And I really legitimately did not. It's nowhere. It just popped in my brain. So for whatever reason, lantern is a key important word. And yesterday I was looking at something that had the word lantern in it. I have this app that I like to play around with, and it's an AI art app, and I love AI art right now. I use it for everything right now for the most part. And something random popped up with lanterns, and I didn't use the descriptive terminology they were. I was gonna try and make my own thing, and I was playing around with, for whatever reason, I had this imagery of like a thief stealing away into the night with 6 coins and 1 coin being left behind, like an alternative version of Seven of Swords. And I bet you someone's already done this. I'm pretty sure someone's already done this. But I was like, oh, this that's kind of cool. What would that mean if you saw 7 of Swords? And I was really into red, the color red. And red's been coming up as like signs a lot lately. And I kid you not, like, because I was so fixated on red, like someone else in another video was talking about red, about the red door, about the protection, about red doors. And then I kid you not, red. I can't give you, because like HIPAA, I can't say certain things because of HIPAA, but that got popped up a lot. And for me, like, red resonates very strong with me because I want to be strong. I want to be capable and confident. And I remember when I was younger, I thought, like, oh, you have to have a co-host that, like, you jab with or whatever, like, you jibby jab, and you do, like, I wanted to have someone that we could just bounce off together and to have a great podcast. And I remember, recently thinking, like, that's never gonna happen. I want this podcast to happen sooner than that, because I'm too much of an introvert to interact with new people. I do interact with people, but I'm very selective, which means, like, like, I can't wait forever. Like, Nanna for Baldur, she can wait forever. That's a complicated, you guys see that story in the lens of, like, something more like Hinduistic, where, like, the gods have multifaceted versions of themselves. They are separate and all together at one time. And there's a character that has been theorized to be a different version of Baldur, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like Baldur's complete opposite. Like, he's blind, he sucks at, like, I think aiming arrows, whatever. I can't remember it specifically, but I remember writing poetry about it, and I was like, I was really into it at the time, and I loved it. I loved the story about the fact that there was these two versions, like, one of everything that's good about Baldur and everything that's not so good about Baldur. And when Baldur died, this dude, because this was his best friend, right? Like, they were best buddies, right? The one that Nanna eventually married was just devastated and depressed, and he just wasn't the same anymore. And so she, it's kind of like, it really became like a really lose situation where I thought, like, well, what if Nanna, like, what if that is him but not him? Like, think about what happens sometimes when you choose someone that's not, like, say, like, two guys who are best friends, and one's kind of like fooling around, not really committing to a woman, and the woman commits to the other dude that will commit to her and love her and treat her with respect. But then they're like, well, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And so the dude is devastated because that's his buddy, right? They're buddies, right? And so, like, a relationship can't flourish anyways. And then I looked at it from the perspective of, like, well, what if, because Baldur is devastated, he left home, right? He doesn't have all his old comforts, his mother, his father, all those people he used to know. And I felt like, he's devastated, right? He just cannot commit happily to Nanna. So she loses out anyways. If she had just let him go and be a playboy, or not a playboy, but mama's boy, she would have lost. But having him commit to her and, say goodbye to all those things he had with his family, and not, taking up his kingdom, king. So this is like the reverse King of Swords, is someone who doesn't take responsibility for, honoring his word. He made a commitment to this beautiful woman, I do, and doesn't commit to a happy life with her. He's just so upset about what he lost that he can't focus on what he gained. And that's heart-wrenching for Nanna. So, like, she doesn't win at all, and it's devastating to me, and that's why Loki has to come in But then because Loki comes in, yeah, ruins it too at the same time. This is why he's kind of like one of those weird characters. Like, he's like, dude, like, Nanna's gonna leave you. You gotta make a move. But then, like, he leaves his family, right? And he commits this beautiful woman. But because he misses home, he misses his mama, he misses his daddy, he's so unhappy. It's like, there's no way they can stay together. It's gonna end in a divorce, and he's gonna go back home. So it's a really sad story, but then you see an alternative reality of that same story play out when Odin goes by that kingdom, when they're talking about this king who hasn't arrived yet. These beautiful people waiting for their beautiful king, their wise, kind, loyal, wise king. So are they forever waiting, or is it an alternate reality, or is it like the time isn't right? When you force something to happen before a person is ready, will they be those people that you want them to become? No. Sadly, the answer is no. Sometimes you have to allow people at their own pace to figure shit out and get to where they need to go. So sometimes a catalyst event isn't useful. Sometimes that tower event is toxic and horrible and traumatizing. So this is why sometimes when people do like these interventions and they force people to get help, why sometimes people go like the total reverse. They dig their heels in hard, and they're stubborn, right? And they're like, no, you can't make me get help. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the reality, right? You like, this is like, I've seen people get forced treatment before when I worked in inpatient psych hospitals. And it's really hard to work with those people. They're extremely angry and resentful. And there's no way, it's really difficult to get those people to listen to you. It's really difficult to get those people to do the things that's best for them. I'm not saying that sometimes that shouldn't happen, but you got to take in mind like how we come in. Like I remember I had this friend where we did our own intervention because we thought it was funny, and we're like, okay, we're gonna force you out of the house, right? And when you do that to people, like say for instance, if they are hoarders, when you force them to go through all their shit and to say goodbye to all their shit, it's very traumatic for them. And sometimes what happens is they will just actually buy more shit to fill the emptiness that's in their home, because that emptiness there's a reason why they have mental health issues. Sometimes what you do is you do exposure therapy, or develop tolerance towards having the space there for cleaning. Like the way I would probably do it is, if I was working with a hoarder, I would enter their home. I wouldn't rush the getting rid of stuff if legally for a reason, like it was doable, right? But I would take my time, get to know them, develop a relationship, and then maybe like look at something kind of like small. It's like, oh, well, what happened if we got rid of this? And develop tolerance for that potentially going away. And you'd basically just practice and say, okay, well, I'm just gonna put this in a box, and we're not, it's not gonna go away, but we're gonna put it outside somewhere different. Maybe we're gonna put it in the donation box. You can take it out anytime you want, though. We're not donating it today. We are just playing with the idea of this going away. And you just develop tolerance and acceptance about their house becoming less cluttered. Because you want the treatment to be long-term. You want it to be effective. You want them to be able to become functional individuals in their community. And forcing them to get rid of everything at once, it's just so painful and grueling. Like, we think we all have to suffer and force people to just hurry up and get better. And really, honestly, like, does that what? Like, come on, man. Come on. We can be, there's nothing wrong with a gentle approach. There really isn't. But sometimes because of legal reasons, or because of like our society, like we have like there's a condemning process, and that sometimes that's really unavoidable, and that's kind of the reason sometimes we have to force along a process. But like, it's so important, like, if you know your parents or your friends, your family members there's a possibility of that happening to them, sometimes starting early is better. Like, I'm not laughing, it's just like, this is a stress response, because I used to have a hard time like letting go of things. Like, what, like, I'm not anywhere near that level of hoarder, but I had a habit of buying and collecting useless things, and I've heard stories of hoarders, and the way I have dealt with my issues with collecting stuff is I used to force myself to get rid of stuff, and it was really stressful, and I would constantly then rebuy the things that I got rid of, and it was expensive for me. It was very expensive. And so now as an adult, what I do is I have a maybe pile where I put stuff away, and I just put it away. It's there, and I try to like get okay with the letting go process. It's a long process, so I have to start it early. And it's like, okay, I can maybe let go of this thing. I can let go of this thing. And sometimes I can't. I literally can't let go of that thing. And it's like, no, I might want this. I might need this. Oh, I maybe I can use this. And I was actually getting to the habit that I was starting to collect boxes. Because I have a baby now. And so there's these boxes that you collect over time. And my partner is going like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Why do we have these boxes? No, we're not collecting boxes. And so I had to prep to get rid of these boxes. I had to force myself to break them down. Luckily, it's just boxes, right? Luckily, it's just boxes. Boxes are easy to get again and again and again. And when I see a box, I get very happy. Like, you have no idea how happy I am to see an empty box. I love my boxes. So it's a little bit of a doable thing, because I know I'm going to get another box. It's crazy. But it makes my brain happy. And I don't know why. Maybe because of my childhood. Maybe I liked boxes as a kid. Maybe there's a positive feeling attached to those boxes. We sometimes don't remember the reason why we've become the way we have. And I think that this is why I love the divine theater. This is why I enjoy mythology and pondering all this stuff, because it helps me a lot, because I think about things differently, and I also too have more compassion for myself and other people. Like, think about it, mama's boys. How many of us get typically annoyed by a mama boy who doesn't know how to fold his laundry, who has no independent thought and allows their mothers to run their lives, or who they marry. I mean, it can be very frustrating when we're dealing with people on a regular basis. But when we think about the fact, like, any one of us could be struggling with boxes, and that's their happy place, right? And that's comical. That's funny. And that's why, like, we kind of have to think. We have to think, like, is, like, what I'm going through so different from what other people are going through? Is what they're going through so different from me? I had a different recipe that produced me. There was an alteration in theirs. They used eggs, and my parents used applesauce or something, right? It's true. It really is. And now you see why I stopped waiting for this perfect partner in crime, why I stopped waiting for perfection, why I just decided to go with the flow and just start talking. And I do this even when I'm tired, because again, like I told you, like, yes, it may not be rest, but I'm in a higher frequency, and I really love being at this higher frequency. And I would advise you guys to not wait until you're perfect and beautiful and all that jazz, because you are doing the best that you can, and you have so much potential in becoming something incredible. I really do believe this. Because I think that hope is still there. Like, if you think about Odin saw a sneak preview of what his son's life could be, And I don't really think he understood it. I mean, if we're thinking about the divine theater play of parents, sometimes they don't really necessarily understand the things they see in their kids. They like might think like, oh, that's like foolishness. Oh, no. Like, and they try to direct their kids and trying to influence their kids because they're like, no, that's silly. No, there's no job in that. Or why become a writer? It's the chances of you become a writer is so low, right? Like, how many of us been influenced by our parents because they thought like, well, you're not going to go anywhere with that. iPhones. If someone had been told repeatedly, no one's going to buy that. Please. No one's going to use an iPhone in 20, 30, 50 years. No one's going to need a light bulb. Like, why do we need that? Like, why? That's stupid. That's foolishness. Can you imagine a wilted flower and our lives being very dramatically different if the light bulb wasn't invented, if the iPhone wasn't invented? Like, so many different things. Like, if they did not exist, our lives would be very, very different. And that's why I ask you to just commit to the alchemy of the life of everything. You don't just become a magician overnight. That's just no way, Jose. I feel like I should wrap this up soon. We're going to continuously have these sort of conversations, and I beg of you, like, listen to this. Like, I know it's rough in the very beginning. It usually is, and sometimes it's always rough, but like, I cannot predict when the channeling is going to start and begin. I follow something. I follow it, and for the most part, I like what I hear. You know, there's a show I was watching, and there were these characters, like, they were really into what they were doing. They were focusing on the fun of it all. And this character, Minnie, was like, oh, I really liked that. I did that. And she really liked how well she did that. And I think, like, that should really be what matters. Like, do you really like what you did? Do you really like the product you created? Because I know I do when I make these episodes. I don't like listening to myself afterwards. Like, my partner, like, he'll sometimes like, hey, I got your one view, and I'm like, I don't need to hear myself talk. I do not want to hear myself talk. I hate it. That's why I don't like to. When I'm editing, I'll listen to it for 5 minutes. Like, nope, not doing that. No, okay, this is what it's kind of about. Like, and so the descriptions are suck ass, and I recognize that. The pictures sometimes match what this is about. I totally understand that. That's very frustrating for you guys, but I do not like hearing my voice. Once the show is over, it's like, I prefer being over for myself, you know? Which is probably why I should get a buddy into this some point, like, who, like, hey, like, we can make this so much better for you. And I'm not waiting around for that day. I'm not, because I'm okay with imperfection and the mess. Like, it's so interesting. Me and my partner are very different. Like, I'm very orderly in certain ways, and he's orderly in certain ways. I'm messy in other ways, and he's messy in other ways. You know, like when the baby gets messy, I'm not bothered by that, but that bothers him, and that's okay, because I don't like going off route. He's okay with that. He loves a life unplanned. Like, but I'm like, oh, I want to know, like, ahead of time. I want to figure out what we're gonna do, and he's like, nah, like, let's go with the flow, man. And I'm like, but you know, I'm very spontaneous when I play. Like, when I work with kids, like, I'm very spontaneous. Like, I think that's why they like me so much, because I'll come up with these weird random ideas, like, and then boom, I'm like, yeah! It's like, oh, okay, that's great. But, like I said, I'm trying to wrap this up. I am so trying. Like, for whatever reason, I see long nails on my fingers, and I'm like, my hands are moving as if they have long nails. And I'm like, I have no long nails. Why am I moving my hands like they have long nails? Like, I don't have long nails. So if someone out there is listening that was really really nice long nails. So your nails are gorgeous. They're gorgeous. Yeah. There should be confirmation for you there. Someone out there needs that confirmation. You're gorgeous. But yeah, if you like any of my services down below, like, feel free to check it out. I'm changing the prices for my automatic writing. The rest is staying the same, like, because I put energy in. Energy needs to be, like, reimbursed. Once a year, 1 to 2 reading, like, once to twice a year I do free readings randomly, like, I'll, like, offer to random people, but it's gotta feel right, it's gotta feel good. The automatic writings price is gonna shift. I'm not really sure exactly how they're gonna shift, but they are, and they are, because they're really easy for me to produce. Like, I am, like, literally, I do my own automatic writings, and I'm like, wow. Like, literally, I write, dear lovely souls. Like, I write from the perspective of if God was talking to me, or if the divine source in any of its forms were to talk to me. And then, you know, when I did this morning, I felt really good about it. Like, I was like, oh, this is really easy. Because, of course, it would be easy for me. The universe delights in all that we do. Like, if you were to have a one-on-one conversation with the source, holy shit. I love my life. Okay. Yeah. I get signs all the time. I'm not kidding you. Like, I'll be driving and I'm like, well, that's interesting. Wow. Like, and it's like, right, I'm doing this, and I'm like, I really should not get distracted. I should stay on point. But yeah, like, if you want automatic writings, just let me know. What I can do for a short period of time, I can do a deal, and I can split the price ranges, and even just, like, you know, like, I don't know. For me, they're so easy to produce. Like, if I were to throw out a price, I probably would have to do a guess. Like, I could do what I can do for the time being is okay, this is what I can do. This is something I know can be easy for me. Now I want you to listen carefully, because any who got to this end, congratulations to you, because you are a lucky, lucky person today. So, the letters from the divine source, about page, maybe 2 pages tops, and how about we, like, maybe $5-10, right? $5 for 1 page, okay? $5 for 1 page. It's 2 pages, $10, okay? Yeah, I can give you a short blurb, like the first sentence or 2, but then, like, you, like, this could be your review, and boom, you give me the money, and boom, bada boom, you get it, the whole thing. I'm not saying this is what the price is going to be forever, though. This is a let's explore price ranges sale, okay? It really, like, depends, like, how busy I got. Like, if I, like, okay, like, I'll be honest, like, you know how, like, demand usually brings up prices? Demand to me would, like, equal, like, a low price. Like, if a lot of people were really into this, I would keep it at a low price. Because, like, the only reason I feel like for psychics, the reason why the prices are so high is because there's a high demand, and they can't meet that high demand ever, no matter what they do. And they have rent to pay for, and even remote psychics think about it, they have a demand they can never keep up with, ever. And they have to pay rent, they have to pay high costs of living, groceries. Like, this is something that's so easy for me. If there was an interest and a demand for it, I would, like, it would be no more than $15, never ever. Like, the only reason I'm, like, doing that range is because I don't know what the price range would ever be, but it would be like $5 to $15. I'm being honest with you, because like it's expensive being a psychic reader, and I do not think a lot of people realize non-psychics or people who do not embrace their gifts and then ask other people to use their gifts to help them out, really realize the cost of being a psychic. When it takes a lot of energy, a lot of costly energy. And at least in my experience, and this is why I always have to have a certain price. Like, I cannot go any lower than a certain price ever. Like $35 an hour is usually, like, if I'm doing sales, if I'm doing a discount, it can never go beyond that price because of the price it has on me. So when people ask for freebies, they are based, like, you know, and they're rude about freebies, or they do a hit and run where they get a free, like, they get, you know, a psychic reading and then don't pay for it. It's why prices stay high sometimes, because there's a lot of psychics out there who have basically just sacrificed their energies. And no. The young ones, they do it because they haven't suffered enough. But when you have, and you're like, no, I'm good. I'm going to just go an easy treat. If people don't want to pay for my services, they don't need it. They don't want them bad enough. They don't care. Or, you know, that's fine. That's okay. They can go to someone else. And you can always happily go to someone else. I'm never going to say don't go to someone else. I'm not going to say don't go to freebies. Don't go asking for free stuff. Because I use YouTube for free tarots all the time. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say, I'm going to always say, hey, that person's great. That person's great. But I'm not going to give out free individual readings. Because no. But, and I know I'm talking a lot about this, but this because it's so important to me. This is why automatic writing is very different. It's very easy for me. This is something that's very unique. And it's easy for me. I love it so much. So that's the only low cost item I have on my list. And but I still can't do it for free. Do you see my point? Because there's still a cost to it. It's just not as high as a cost. I'm sorry. I know, like, if some of you guys could be rolling your eyes, you lost interest, you just turn this thing off, and that's totally fine. If you listen to the whole thing, you got to the end, I really do appreciate that. I do gotta let you guys go before I keep monologuing, but yeah, you know, life has a way of teaching you fine lessons, and I feel like the tail end is always like, that's my hour. You know, even just 5-10 minutes of me monologuing. I love it, regardless. Feels good to say the truth. Alright, I love you. Marry me, possibly beyond mention your health. And toodaloo.